my favorites are the closed circuit camera systems. They're just great. Crazy stuff.
Welcome to the Sedona Soul Sisters Show, down to earth discussions on metaphysics, paranormal, and spiritual topics.
And the Sedona Soul Sisters are myself, Rosin Reynolds, my business partner, Ivory Lanou, and our missing sweet maid who's gone on vacation today, Terry Ann Walensky Russell. And we have offices, and here we are in Sedona, Arizona.
In our office.
Parked in our office.
Today's topic is daily affirmations. If you have questions about the topic today, you can go into the show chat room here on YouTube, ask your question. Our engineer will pass that on to us and we'll answer it here live on the show. And if you're just too shy, you can email us after the show. We'll answer your questions that way as well. If you have suggestions for future topics, we'd love to hear those as well. So, daily affirmations. I've been doing those. I was thinking about it this morning since about age 26. A long time.
That's about when I started too. I had a close encounter with a very dark and scary entity who shall remain unnamed when I was 27. And at that point, I shifted some big gears. And of course, that happened to me because I had lowered my frequency to the point where I was just attracting all kinds of creepsters. That's what I call them. The low frequency entities, beings, demons, whatever you want to call them, were coming in and coming for visits. And I pretty much got the stuffing scared out of me.
And the stuffings.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
And retreated back to seeking daily guidance through prayer and affirmation.
We should probably talk about if somebody doesn't know what affirmations are, or you might think you do, but you only have a vague idea. It's just a statement that you want to be true about yourself. And so you would say, for instance, if somebody has low self esteem, they would write some affirmations. I love myself. I am lovable. I am enough. All of these things, whatever resonates. I am worthy is another one. Absolutely. And you'd write them down. Then every morning, every night, you look yourself in the mirror in the eye and you say them out loud like you mean it. Sounds so simple, doesn't it?
It does. It just, you would think that that would be the easiest thing on the planet. It's shocking how difficult it is to keep yourself in a state of focus and discipline to do that on a daily basis.
Or even just in the beginning when the statements are particularly not true, when you're really new at doing them. At first, you might cry or sob or feel like you're choking on the words because you don't mean them. That's okay. That's the way it is in the beginning, but you just keep forging ahead and doing it. Eventually, you'll be able to say it and you'll know you mean it. Then that one comes off your list and it's time for a new affirmation that you want to be true. And that comes back to, we've talked about this, how important it is with what you say to yourself and what you think about yourself has a lot to do with who you are and how you feel about yourself. So,
and
here's a way to fix it.
Heavily, impacts your whole thought process of how you get up on a daily basis and your expectation of where that day is going to go and where your life as a result is going to take you. So it's really important to realize that the power of our thoughts and words is staggering. And this, I think, is something that people really don't ever give any thought to. But if you're constantly beating up on yourself, berating yourself, looking at the things you don't like about yourself, we all have things we don't like about ourselves, but we don't have to make that the focus of our energy. Instead, we create affirmations to facilitate change. And those changes are as a result of us realizing we need to work on things. And there we go back to one of our favorite subjects is you gotta do the work.
Darn it.
Hate when that happens. It's really tough. It's really tough.
And I think another thing that's I have found to be really important before you start doing the affirmations is really put some work into those affirmations. Make sure they're very specific and that you're telling yourself what you really want to be true. Make it as specific as possible and really look at it and see if your brain might interpret that differently. Then reword it, make it more specific. Because these words that you say like that are going very deep into your brain, into a part of your brain that believes it, little by little believes it. So don't just throw three things out there and say it, craft them.
Yeah. And I think it's important to realize that I do a process daily where I'm using my prayers and affirmations to help myself rebalance and clear the stuff that I didn't manage to keep in alignment. And that is an ongoing in my life. It's an ongoing demand because I can't do the work to help other people if I'm not keeping myself where I need to be.
And I think another thing about affirmations is to remember that this is focusing on you. None of your affirmations should be about other people because it comes back to we can't control another person. All we can do is control ourselves. So, for instance, if you're in an unhappy marriage or an unhappy relationship, your affirmations would be about I'm going to be the best possible romantic partner I can be. I am very understanding. I am trusting, whatever it is you need work on.
That kind of takes a step into, um, you know, analysis, the self analysis of. I don't think in my case affirmations would be as effective if I didn't have goals
Mm-hmm.
that are attached, not just goals in the physical world, in this 3D world, in the business world, whatever, but goals about who I want to be and where I want my energy to have its best impact in my life and in the people around me,
Mm-hmm.
their lives. And I think one of my affirmations that I say every day, and it's probably my favorite, but is talking about being, you know, in a state where everything that we do results not just in our own good, but the good of everyone around us. So it's a love thing.
It's all a love thing. That's the truth.
And self love has to be the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why working on these affirmations, where you are actually recreating yourself by word, by thought, by deed. And it's really powerful. I mean, it sounds just kind of like, well, you'll be amazed if you start to do this on a daily basis. You keep track of the change that results in you working on yourself and creating these goals and affirmations. And in my case, they're, accompanied by prayers. Um, it's intense when you start to see these changes and you start crossing things, like you said, crossing things off of that list. It's a wake up call. You start to realize, whoa, we do have some power here.
Hey, I've been doing these for 42 years and I'm still finding plenty of things I want to do affirmations about. So there's no time. This is not some project you're going to tick off your list. This is an ongoing element of life.
And I think one thing to realize too is a lot of us, um, are not happy with how the earth has been treated, how the world is functioning right now. And affirmations about facilitating change, meditation, visualization about facilitating change in a positive way, those are very powerful. And we've talked about this before, how it alters not only your energy, but then that energy starts to extend out and help other people.
Anytime that we work on ourselves, one person works on themselves, you are healing everyone in your life on some level to some degree. You are healing them. You are changing them. You're helping them. So we know we cannot directly go out and fix another person. That's a fantasy. But know that working on yourself does help other people in your life. And I wanted to say too, like it's not easy. And I run across plenty of people in my life, not clients so much as it is more just people I run into, who I say, why do you think you feel that way? I don't know. Well, have you given any thought? No. Well, would you be open to that? No. Well, then there's no opportunity for growth there, for change or growth or improvement. You
That's a
have to be
choice.
willing to go inside. You have to be willing to stop that self reflection, to really take an honest look at yourself. You know, where are my faults? Where was I in the wrong? Am I overreacting? Am I expecting too much? Whatever it is, you know, you have to go there to make the change, to grow as a person. So to me, the whole experience of being here alive is to grow as a person. That's why we're here.
Well, and I think, we make these affirmations based on needs and desires that we see and we are experiencing. Um, but getting ourselves to a point of balance and contentment within ourselves, that's an energetic frequency that we send out that impacts, everything. I remember when I was probably in my 20s, and there was a lot of stuff going on back then in this was in like the 70s, so there was a tremendous amount of stuff going on with study of paranormal, study of mind. People would sit and do these experiments where they were telling plants, how ugly they were and they were going to die. They never said it, they just thought it, and they did.
Yes.
On the other hand, seeing your happy house plant and telling it how much you like it and how it, is giving you oxygen and you like that and you like the color. And I mean, these were actual experiments that were being done. And I think scientists were shocked when they realized, hey, this is powerful. This is physics, but it's more than that. So, this is all about having a daily discipline and a daily focus where you're creating good.
And living things are living things are living things. It all responds to the energy of our thoughts and our words. And you know, when I read about that, I started talking to my plants even more. And I still, like, every day I'm like, oh, you're so beautiful, I love you. And I'll like put my hands around their stem and their leaves and do some, just some
Yeah,
energy into
just the
them and
energy.
tell them how much I love them. And those plants are doing really well. But I know that that's true for other things as well, which we can cover in future topics. But as far as affirmations, I think that people always ask, well, what kind of things can you do affirmations for? It would be easier to tell you what you can't do them for, and that's other people. Anything in your life, anything that you're not happy with. It could be about you, the way you act or react. It could be you think you're not assertive enough, you think you're not aggressive enough in business, you think you're not loving enough, whatever it is. You know, sit down and give some thought to that. What are you most unhappy about with yourself? That's the place to start. Write down 3.
And one thing I'd like to mention here, I think it's really important to realize that everything has the capability of being used for a good outcome or a negative outcome.
Absolutely.
And I have known some people who used affirmations, power of word and thought, to send negative energy to people, to wish for negative things for people. Use extreme caution with this because it is a very it's debilitating, but it's also dangerous because you are crossing into being a servant of darkness, and there's no other way to say that. So don't fool yourself that you can be sending out negative thoughts, negative energies, and not have a result uh, 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 that you probably don't want to experience. And I really think when people utilize this type of, and I know some people who do this a lot, they do it constantly, it's a habit, they don't even think about that they're doing it. I always feel like whatever we send out magnifies and returns. So be cautious with this. You know, if you're doing your focus to improve yourself, but to also help others, make sure that you're doing that with the intention of goodness. Because that
Yeah,
you're getting
absolutely.
in a bit of a sticky wicket there if you cross into the desire and the intention of hurting anyone else or
Hmm.
impacting anyone else in a negative way.
And that
And we got
includes,
a lot of that right now.
yes, we do. That includes creating affirmations that are good for you, but will have a negative result for somebody else. Even if you're not saying, I want negative things to happen to this person, think about the outcome too. So we always do this like when we're doing our affirmations here with the three of us, sometimes the four of us with Ed. We're talking about the four of us, business coming in, business magnifying, many good people of the light who need and want our help coming our way. We're not doing, intentions. I'm not setting an affirmation that my business is so much better. We're all in it together. And the truth is, everybody on this planet is all in it together.
And
So
connected.
yes. And so if you look at it that way, what happens to you affects those around you, affects those around them. You can see, we all know about that 6 degrees of separation. It probably is down to 4 now. So just keep that in mind. Be careful.
I think, people take that very lightly in this day and age. When in reality, it's a pretty heavy duty, intense result that you create using either one
Hmm.
when you kind of work it into a skill and a discipline. I think the other thing that is really important to realize is, and my first affirmation of the day, and I don't just say this one time a day, I say it all day. Everything is working out for our highest and best good and the best good of everyone around us, and
Hmm.
we are being guided and protected in everything we do. And envisioning that, sending out just a beam of light and reaching people. um, Ivory and I have kind of an interesting energy frequency that goes out, and we do receive people in our office who need help. And we find that sometimes those people don't have money. And we always can tell if we are truly being called to help these people. A lot of people are just out wandering around. They could help themselves, but they don't really want to have to do that. It's different than that. When you're sent someone by your guidance and you feel that intense click, like that they just need to talk to you, they just need to get a little energy work and get back on their feet. That's really a very important thing to be saying an affirmation for too. That we guide and we receive the people that we are serving, whether or not they have dollars.
Right.
I mean, that said, of course, we have bills to pay and we have overhead and life goes on, but I always know when somebody has been sent by my guidance, by my angels, by Jesus. I know it. I feel it. So I think when you get into that state of you're doing affirmations about creating goodness in the world and changing the world, you have to be ready to, you know, help other people learn to do that too. And you guys can all do this. That's the other thing. We can all do this. It's not just us.
No. If more people were doing daily affirmations, slowly the whole frequency of the planet rises. It has to. I mean, it's doing it with or without
Yep.
us. Whether
Very
it shakes
true.
us off like fleas is another story. But as long as we keep moving our frequency up, then it raises the frequency of the planet. So sometimes it is a matter. I don't like the visual of dragging along a ball and chain, but in a way it is because there's so many people who, like I said, are not interested in introspection, figuring out what's wrong, what's missing, what they want, what they wish to improve, and then working on it because it is work. It is work. So, those of us who are ready to do it, it's a service you're doing to the world, for yourself, for everybody in your life, and for the world.
This is a hot
It
subject.
is. I suddenly got very hot. So,
Well, one thing that happens when you get energy workers together, the heat turns on. But the other thing is when you're talking about having the intention of serving and doing good work, there's an incredible energy around that. And it's definitely felt
yes.
in terms of a little furnace going on. So think about your priorities in your life. I mean, we all have loved ones we want to help. We all have our jobs. Um, got a little something eyelash or something in my eye, but the bottom line here is think about how you would like to envision your life becoming in a positive intention way, in a way of helping, serving, and doing good works. Because most of you out here, if you're interested to watch this, you're either empaths or your intuitive sense is kicking in, you're
Light workers in
awakening.
general.
Yeah, you're awakening to being surrounded by light, to being motivated and guided by light. So it's a big shift. And these are tools to help you manage that.
It is. Everybody always wants to know, I want to get going. Where do I start? This is a great place to start.
It is.
You don't need any tools, you don't pay any money, you don't have to go anywhere. You need an index card and a piece of tape and something to write with. That's it. Or a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be an index card. There's no rules about it.
A post-it note. That's kind of a joke.
We love our post-it notes.
We're kind of post-it note freaks.
I'm trying to withdraw myself from the overuse of that. Good grief.
These are amazingly simple tools that you can create and use in your life daily and really shift the energy that's around you and begin to experience joy. Because I think the number one thing that, a lot of people tell me now is, I just don't like my life. I'm not experiencing any joy. I'm not happy. I feel like I don't know what my purpose is. When you start to explore affirmations, that's a whole other process. Your your entire mind, body, spirit comes into alignment, and you have a sense of purpose.
I just heard I need to address something, so I'm going to talk about this. If your biggest problem in life involves how other people are treating you, there is a way for you to do affirmations about yourself that addresses this. And so an example would be if you have a toxic spouse and a toxic boss and a history of this, maybe toxic family members and friends, meaning that they're just really harmful to you. They make you feel bad about yourself, very difficult to be around. So, affirmations for that would be about your your attitude towards it, your actions, and your reactions. So again, the focus goes back on you, even though your biggest issue is these toxic people. So, for instance, some affirmations that you could write for yourself in your words, whatever feels right for you, would be something along the lines of, I am not overly sensitive. I am secure within myself and how I feel about myself. I think before I react.
I
I
know who I
I
am.
know who I am.
Yeah,
All the things that help you really get grounded and balanced and stand in your power, because you can't change other people, but you definitely can change how you act and react around those
absolutely.
people. So don't feel like you heard me say what can't be about other people. It can in an indirect way. You're still working on you, even if the problem is another person or a group of people. So
Good point.
thank you,
Really
angels,
good point.
for mentioning that.
That's one of the number one things I hear from many of my clients who work in large corporate environments.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have a fairly large number of people in a confined space. Everybody's energy is, you know, kind of intermingling there. And it's tough. It's really tough to set boundaries. One thing I do recommend to people in that circumstance is that they might get for like tower busters, organized tower busters, put them on the four corners of your desk, put them in the four corners of your cubicle, your office, whatever you have going on. Um, I find that for me, this has been incredibly helpful, really helpful,
It
because I
is.
used to have extreme difficulty keeping my balance when other people would come in. I would put myself in the white light bubble, which we've discussed before. But somebody walks in the door and they're really unhappy and they're very toxic, and boom, I'm knocked off my game.
I
So
gotta home and nap if I make it that far.
so these are all kinds of ideas that we implement in our lives to get us where we need to be in terms of balance and in terms of manifesting goals and moving forward and being in your mind, body, spirit peaceful.
You know what this leads directly into, don't you? Next
I'm
week's
sure you're going to
topic.
tell me.
Next week's topic. But I'm not going to go there quite yet.
Oh, come on.
Oh no, let the suspense kill.
It's a kind of like an adventure every day. I used to tell people, I had 4 children in 5 years. I mean, I used to call it the 4 ring circus. It was just like you never knew what was going to be going on. But I used to say, like I did when I was young, I'm just going to paddle out and ride the wave and see what see what that wave turns out to be. So, getting myself to a point of calmness first was number one. And that affirmation, prayer, and focus time for me is crucial. And it was crucial then, it's still crucial now. So,
those things don't
gotta
change.
have it.
Absolutely. So having 4 children in 5 years really prepared you very well for the work you do here.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah.
I always tell people I learned more from them, more from being a mom in that circumstance than I probably learned from any teacher or any situation I was ever in.
Best darn training.
Yep.
You should have a diploma. I mean, that should really be like a grad program. 4 children in 5 years.
I don't even, yeah.
Or
I,
4 children,
I would
period.
never recommend that to anybody, but that came from guidance above, directing that. So I guess they always say God never gives you more than you can handle. I used to go, I think you've overestimated me.
Hilarious.
So I think we're done. There it is. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you with us. We try to have fun, and I hope you realize that we do deal with serious subjects. And what we talked about today for you could be a game changer. So think about that. Come visit us on our website, sedonasoulsisters.com. We list all of our services on there, and we have some good little ideas and input too.
And come see us here in Sedona. If you're in town, just pop on in. We'd love to see you. Come on in. Tune in next week. Our topic is spiritual discipline. And why I said today's topic leads right into this is because a spiritual discipline is the things you do on a daily basis to ground and balance and raise your frequency and many other aspects of a spiritual journey and personal development. So we'll be talking about that next week. And in the meantime, we hope that you have a fantastic week. I swear I hate that you
Gosh, my eyes are just going crazy.
They are really watering.
Oh,
And then I realized I'm staring at glasses watering eyes. I should stop that.
I just kept telling them to stop. And then they did.
And then they did it. It's very hard to look at them. They can like. If it had clothes on it, I think I'd find it even harder to look at.